Remember that state tax refund you got back before the November election, the $750 or $1,500 TABOR refund, the one that the Democrats gave a new name so they could take credit for the refund that they had previously tried to kill? Well, you got the refund, Democrats got elected in droves, and now there's a new effort by Democrats to end those refunds. Here's Politics Guy Marshall Zellinger.
Those big lottery-sized checks showing $1,500 and $750, those were part of your state-mandated TABOR refund sent early last year. The ones celebrated by Democrats prior to the November election. So 10 days ago, before the legislative session began, we emailed all 100 state lawmakers. Granted, 2 of them have since resigned. We asked 3 questions. Should TABOR refunds always be sent out early like last year? Should we end TABOR refunds and let the state keep the money, which would require voter approval? And should we do away with voters approving tax increases, which would also require voter approval first? The replies were limited. I heard back from 17 Republicans and only 3 Democrats.
Until we fund all of the state services that we're supposed to be funding, why are we giving money back to voters? You have roads that are less drivable. You have, kids that are less educated.
State Representative Kathy Kipp is one of the 3 Democrats. She's preparing a bill to ask voters to let the state keep future TABOR refunds. So not only would the $750 or $1,500 not come early, it would not come at all.
We need long-term, sustainable funding so we can pay our teachers and do what the people expect.
Her bill, which if passed, would put an issue on the November ballot, asking voters to forego future TABOR refunds, and that money would go to the state education fund.
We need to use this money to attract and retain teachers and student support staff.
In 2019, voters rejected Proposition CC by 8 points. CC would have let the state keep your TABOR refund for schools and roads.
People have been talking about, well, at the point we get to the bottom, right? We get to rock bottom and the school districts don't have any money, blah, blah, blah. Then we will solve the problem. I think we're there.
Back to my 3 questions. Of the 17 Republicans to respond, 14 wanted early refunds, and all said no to ending them and no to removing voter approval for tax increases. Of the 3 Democrats to respond, all want to end TABOR refunds, and 2 specifically said they're in office to make tax increase decisions on behalf of voters. 2 additional aspects to point out. Under this proposal, the state would still use some of the TABOR overage to fund a senior and veteran property tax exemption, that wouldn't go away, and to fund affordable housing, which voters approved this past November. Also, school district funding is mainly funded through local property taxes. When a school district doesn't get to 100% of what it expected, the state's supposed to backfill that. Sometimes it still doesn't get to 100%. But when it comes to giving teachers raises, whether the money is there or not, that decision is the local school district to make, not state lawmakers. The money could be there. School district, they could be like, well, thanks, but we'd rather spend money somewhere else. Or, yeah, we'll use some of that money and we want to raise pay.
Yeah, because that idea of local control is obviously integral to the system here in Colorado. So as much as state legislators might want to change that, that's the system.
Right. And this is, I guess, the funding that, hey, if you say you don't have enough money, we'll create a funding mechanism, but on the honor system that if you use it, you have to use it for this. So please use it for that. But voters have said this in the past. No. There was a failed issue to get on the ballot last year that polling by David Flaherty from Magellan Strategies, polling showed that voters were in favor of it, but it just never got on the ballot. This may be the opportunity to see if voters really do approve it now, 4 years after saying no.
What do they think? Marshall, thank you.